Um, I know there has been some confusion regarding statements or claims that were made after the Fightful article came out that detailed my stalking situation as well as my departure from reality of wrestling, and any kind of confusion about those statements in the article or the events, more importantly, that occurred during my stalking situation, is harmful to any kind of legal process I have going on to try and get protection from my stalker. So I'm going to clear that up as best I can. As far as the way things are handled at Reality of Wrestling, with people saying I didn't go to Booker enough or I didn't call Booker directly, or I should have done more on my end to stop what happened from happening. That's just not the way things were handled at Reality of Wrestling in my experience. In my experience, you went to Kevin with the day-to-day operations because he ran day-to-day operations. So you dealt with Kevin Bernhardt directly. And then if he told you you needed to escalate things to talking with Booker or Charmel about things, then that's when you would do that. And I was never told by Kevin I needed to talk to Booker and Charmel. And I was also directly told not to do that because he had informed me that he kept them informed throughout the entire situation. Throughout the entire situation, was on the phone with police, lawyers, and district attorneys. And after every single one of those phone calls or interactions, I called or talked to Kevin Bernhardt personally, in person. And he told me each time when I asked if I needed to go to Booker that he had already talked to Booker or he was going to talk to Booker for me so that I didn't have to worry myself about it. And I had no reason to believe otherwise after being told that by Kevin Bernhardt. Secondly, as far as any kind of trespass warrant for my stalker, I did get on the phone with Texas City Police Department today. It's February 13th, 2024. And I did ask them for a copy of that record because it would aid me in getting a restraining order and any other kind of legal process to move forward if I had that documentation. So I did request a copy of it, and they told me that there is no documentation or any kind of record in their database for Sean Reed as far as trespass warnings go. That he's just never been issued a trespass warning in general for that premises or any other.
Thanks for holding. How can I help you?
Hi, is there a way I can check and see if there's a trespass warrant on somebody?
Hang on just a second. Let me bring up my screen. Give me just a second because my computer's...
No problem.
It's rebelling against me. What's the last name?
Reed, R-E-E-D.
First name?
Shawn, S-H-A-W-N.
I have a database for my trespass warnings, and I have no person with that name in my trespass warning database.
So just no trespass warrants against him?
He's not, yeah, he doesn't have, usually if they get a trespass warning, we log them in our system, and like if they have different locations, it's a separate entry. He's not in the database at all. That means he's never been issued a trespass warning anywhere.
Okay, is there a way I could get an email or something, like something sent in writing that says that?
No, ma'am. We don't do that.
Okay.
Are you looking for a specific address?
Yeah, I mean, you can look for a specific address too. Last I was told it would have been the 10,000 block of Emmett F. Lowry Expressway, the Mainland City Center, and its associate stores, I believe, is what I was told it was phrased as.
I show he's been handled out there where you're staying at
Yeah.
Garden.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the call slip from when they were out there back in December.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, it's, if they're in our system, it tags them if it's trespass warning. There's no notes in this call that says he was issued a trespass warning. So you can get a copy of this report that shows there wasn't one issued. I can give you the case number and I can transfer you to records, and that way you can get a copy of it and it'll show that he wasn't issued a trespass warning, because they would log it in the call that Reed was issued a CT warning if he was issued.
Okay, perfect. And what was that case number?
22.
They said they did see that he was handled at that premises before, but that there was no trespass warning requested or issued associated with that event or any others for Sean Reed. So any claims that there is a trespass warrant or warning, it's not a legal trespass warning, whatever they're referring to as far as those claims, and it's not something that can be upheld by the police, and it's not something, unfortunately, that can aid me in getting any kind of legal aid for my situation. And also, there's been claims that I knew Sean Reed was at the bar when I decided to go to the bar next door to Reality of Wrestling Stutt Garden. That is not the case. I was not informed by Booker T or anyone else that Sean Reed was at that bar. I wasn't informed by Booker T or Kevin Bernhardt that Sean Reed was in the building and was present for the entire wrestling show that night. I found out Sean Reed was present for the first time when I went to the same bar that I always go to after Reality of Wrestling shows. I was in my usual place, and that is when I first saw Sean Reed that night. I wasn't going anywhere I wasn't supposed to be. I wasn't going anywhere that I didn't usually go. And I certainly did not go into that bar looking for Sean Reed, knowing Sean Reed was there, or attempting to contact Sean Reed. He came to that bar knowing I was there and coming to my usual place in order to confront and see me. There's been comments about a conversation that I had with Booker outside of the Reality of Wrestling venue, and that conversation pertained to me calling the police. It was when I was calling the police, and I was urged to go home by Booker T. I was urged that his solution, from what I understood, it was for me to go home and not involve the police. And that was his solution to help things go away or make it, my stalking situation go away. I did not disobey Booker in that order. I did what I had to obey the police when they told me the first time I made a police report that I had to call them immediately every time Sean Reed showed up. So I was obeying police orders when I called the police and let them know that my stalker was here. And when I followed their dispatcher's direction to look inside the venue to see if my stalker was still inside the venue. I did not do that to disobey Booker. I did that to obey the police instruction for my safety and to help me in my legal process. There have been comments about why this article took so long to come out, why I took so long to speak on the matter publicly, and it was about a year from the December incident that this article came out, a little over a year, and that seems like a long time for people who are removed from the situation. Reality of Wrestling and anyone associated with it is removed from the situation. They have not made themselves available to me to aid in my legal matters. So I don't believe they've been involved or have put much thought into these situations since that night. I, on the other hand, have been dealing with this on a day-to-day basis throughout this entire year. I still regularly contact police. I still regularly contact lawyers, and I still regularly deal with my stalking situation. So it has not been far removed from me. This is something I'm actively dealing with, and this is just another process of me actively dealing with this situation that has been the same for me for years at this point. This situation did not go away for me. It's something that I continue to deal with, and this was part of the process of dealing with this situation. Like I said, I can see how it might feel far removed for anyone involved at Reality of Wrestling or anyone running Reality of Wrestling, because they have not made themselves available to me to aid in this situation or have anything to do with my legal matters one way or the other. So they probably have not put thought into this for that year, and feel like this came out of the blue when it's not out of the blue for me. It's something I still am currently dealing with. As far as the interaction where I was no longer at Reality of Wrestling after that interaction, there have been comments that have mentioned the fact that the words "you're fired" were not said to me. Those words were not said to me. What I recall being said to me is that they didn't want a crazy person at their school and that they didn't want police involvement. And I recall telling them the only way to try and keep my stalker away from their school without police involvement is to keep me away from their school. And I recall being told, if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. And I also recall being told that my issue was that I don't take any responsibility for my actions or accountability, and that they did not need something or someone like that in their locker room. So I did not feel the line of communication with Reality of Wrestling or Booker was open after that point, and I certainly did not feel like the doors were open for me to return after that point. It was heavily implied, and it was heavily stated that I was not to return. In order to keep other people safe, I should keep myself away. The intentions behind anything, there have been comments about intentions on my part of every part of this process, and my intentions have never changed. My intentions are to get legal aid in my stalking situation. My intentions are to get granted a restraining order, and my intentions are to never have to deal with my stalker again and to continue to live safely, no matter where I am or what I'm doing. And so if there's any confusion or comments saying otherwise, I want to clear that up, because this has nothing to do with wanting anything bad to happen to somebody or anything bad to happen to any wrestling group. This is only to do with me and my personal situation, and to aid me in getting the legal process completed so that I can move on from this with my life, and to make sure that other people are safe and taken care of in the wrestling space. If you listen to all of this, thank you, and hopefully this is the last time I will have to publicly or personally speak about this matter.